After waking up, he found himself to be the last immortal cultivator. The world had also transformed from a cultivation world into a magic world. It turns out that 1,000 years ago, the immortal cultivation realm and the demon realm erupted into an immortal demon war. All the immortal cultivators were slaughtered to the last. And due to the influence of the demonic beast's aura, the world underwent a great transformation. The history of cultivation was also forgotten in the river of time, replaced by the rise of many other races. What serpent race elves? And succubi among others. While men may be immortal cultivators, without money in this world, they cannot take a single step. He had no choice but to take on the daily commissions. At that moment, Zhong Tianshun hummed a little tune as he arrived at Lostwood. However, he discovered that the other three had already beaten him to it. One of them, in particular, was a D-class mage from the Order of the Holy Cross. Her two subordinates, seeing that Zhong Tianshun did not appear to be combat personnel, quickly urged him to leave, warning that it was dangerous here as there were demonic beasts attacking people. However, he took out the commission document and stated, "I am here to exterminate the demonic beasts." Upon hearing this, one of the men took out a telekinesis detector. After testing, it was discovered that Zhong Tianshun's telekinesis point was actually 0. Another person laughed upon seeing this. Even ordinary people have a telekinesis level of 5. Zhong Tianshun was dumbfounded. What on earth is telekinesis? I've eliminated many demonic beasts without using telekinesis. Hearing this, the two burst into laughter. You don't even know what telekinesis is, yet you claim to have hunted demonic beasts? At this moment, Catherine explained to him that telekinesis is a special ability used to combat demonic beasts. Anyone capable of activating telekinesis can unleash immense power. And based on the strength of telekinesis, humans are classified into several levels: S, A, B, C, D, and E. Among them, Warrior said, "Miss Catherine, as a D-class mage, can easily handle the demonic beasts here. You should leave quickly." Zhong Tianshun, however, ignored the warrior's words and instantly moved in front of him. He casually threw an internationally friendly gesture at the other person, which infuriated the warrior, who wanted to say something more. But he was interrupted by Catherine, who said, all right. If he insists on going, we'll take him with us. There are only tier 1 demonic beasts here, so bringing along someone with 0 telekinesis won't be a problem." A moment later, Catherine unleashed an upstream torrent. She then cleared out the demonic beasts in the forest. The two underlings immediately started flattering her. Just as the three were feeling smug, Zhong Tianshun interrupted them. "Don't celebrate too soon. Look over here." Then everyone looked toward the ruins ahead. "There's more inside," he said, before the group entered the ruins. Seeing that the two warriors were still acting a bit careless, Zhong Tianshun reminded them to be careful, as something felt off about the place. Catherine also sensed that something was wrong. She had a vague, uneasy premonition in her heart. At that very moment, she inadvertently glanced to the side. She then discovered a massive goblin sitting amidst the ruins. She quickly called out to everyone, pointing at the goblin that stood like a small mountain before them. Everyone was utterly astonished, as none of them had ever seen such a massive goblin in their entire lives. At that moment, one of the warriors walked straight toward the goblin. He approached it, looked at its face, and found it strangely familiar. Then, on a mischievous impulse, he poked the goblin. He noticed that it showed no reaction at all. He turned around excitedly and said to Catherine, "This seems to be the corpse of a demonic beast. We've struck it rich." At that moment, the goblin suddenly opened its blood-red eyes. Seeing this, Zhong Tianshun quickly shouted, "Be careful!" But it was too late. A flash of sword light swept by. The warrior's arm was directly severed. At this moment, the goblin was emanating an intense sense of pressure all over its body. In the next second, the goblin chieftain let out a roar, and the two companions were instantly frightened into unconsciousness. Seeing this, Catherine immediately instructed Zhong Tianshun not to act rashly, saying, "I will protect you." Then, she unleashed her most powerful arcane magic, aiming to decide the outcome with a single strike. A massive water shark emerged from the arcane formation and charged straight toward the goblin chieftain. But the shark was shattered with a single slap from the chieftain. Only then did Catherine realize that the chieftain before her was actually a tier 3 demonic beast. Before she could think further, the chieftain threw a punch at her. Seeing this, Catherine quickly cast the defensive spell, Water Barrier. With a loud boom, the entire water barrier was blasted away. After the water barrier dissipated, Catherine clutched her chest, already severely injured. She looked at the two warriors who had already passed out. Catherine was utterly despairing at this moment. She watched as the chieftain raised his sword and charged toward her. She closed her eyes as if resigning to her fate. With a swift whoosh, the chieftain swung his sword. Yet, after waiting for what felt like an eternity, she realized she hadn't died. She opened her eyes and saw the fatal strike, but it was blocked by Zhong Tianshun with just 2 fingers. No matter how hard the chieftain tried, the great sword remained immovable. Catherine was dumbstruck at the sight. "Hey, can you still move? If you can move, step back a bit. I'm about to make a move and I don't want you to get caught in it." Reacting quickly, Catherine hurriedly hid behind a large tree in the distance. At this moment, Zhong Tianshun looked up at the chieftain and said, "Hey big guy, have you ever tried the taste of being struck by lightning?" With that, his fingers were surrounded by crackling lightning. Simultaneously, the sky instantly darkened with thick clouds, accompanied by flashes of lightning and rumbles of thunder. As Zhong Tianshun let out a loud shout, "Thunder Summoner!" a massive pillar of lightning descended from the sky. Instantly it struck the chieftain. Catherine was utterly shocked at the sight. He could actually summon lightning from the sky. After the dark clouds dispersed, Zhong Tianshun told her it was safe now and to come out. She looked at the charred chieftain. Catherine was stunned for a long time. A single lightning strike had instantly killed the Tier 3 demonic beast. It has been a long time since such a talented mage appeared in our Pharaoh city. Not long after, as the sky was just beginning to lighten, the two warriors who had fainted woke up. Catherine immediately told them what had happened. After finishing the story, the group looked at Zhong Tianshun, who was meditating. Her cheeks flushed slightly, clearly harboring a secret affection. The other two immediately approached Zhong Tianshun, expressing their sincere gratitude to him while inquiring about the distribution of the spoils. However, they heard Zhong Tianshun say with an indifferent expression, "I want all of it." The two of them became anxious upon hearing this and said, "We've worked hard all night too. Could you at least share a little with us?" Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun gave each of them a toenail clipping from a Tier 1 demonic beast. After distributing the spoils, Zhong Tianshun bid farewell to the group while carrying a massive bundle on his back. Catherine wanted to persuade him to stay but was told that he needed to go to the village to collect his reward. She could only watch him walk away with reluctance. This guy is so stingy. He didn't take the most valuable one with him. Last night, that Tier 3 demonic beast was the Goblin Chieftain on the Demon Hunter Association's bounty list. Although their voices were very soft, Zhong Tianshun, who hadn't gone far, still heard them clearly. Upon hearing that he could receive a large reward just by bringing the body back to Pharaoh City, he stopped in his tracks, turned around with gleaming eyes and asked, "That thing can be exchanged for money?" Zhong Tianshun and his group arrived in Pharaoh City. They exchanged the Goblin Chieftain's corpse for 1,300 spirit coins. Zhong Tianshun was overjoyed to see this, as the spirit coins here were the same as the spiritual stones he had used before. He turned around and saw the two warriors on the verge of tears. Zhong Tianshun, seeing their pitiful state, directly gave them 30 spirit coins to go home and recuperate properly. Catherine, seeing this, hurriedly chased after them. In her urgency, she grabbed Zhong Tianshun's hand. With slightly flushed cheeks, she said, "Your name is?" "My name is Zhong Tianshun." The scene shifts to a hotel in Pharaoh City. Zhong Tianshun is leisurely soaking in the hot spring. He then looks at the jade pendant in his hand. "This thing was struck by my heavenly thunder conduit and remained completely unscathed. It's even emitting a faint spiritual power. Definitely a treasure. I'll keep it for now." Before long, he actually falls asleep in the hot spring. Suddenly, the pendant around his neck begins to glow. The next second, a pair of fox ears emerged from the water, followed by a Kyubi no Kitsune appearing on the surface. She murmured to herself, 5,000 years, I'm finally out. Is he the one who woke me up?" She sensed the immense spiritual power emanating from him. Baiqing couldn't help but lick her lips, never expecting to encounter such a miraculous opportunity. "In that case, I won't hold back then." After saying that, she leaned in and kissed him. Feeling the moist and soft touch, along with the continuous flow of spiritual power entering her body, this almost caused her to lose her mental composure. At that moment, Zhong Tianshun opened his eyes and asked, "Who are you?" This startled Bai Qing, causing him to instantly retreat 2 meters away. She said with a resentful look, "It was you who woke me up, didn't you know?" Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun suddenly realized, "So you are the carved fox jade pendant." Bai Qing only then noticed how strikingly handsome the man before her was, and she immediately wanted to test his abilities. She then released a cloud of pink smoke. The next second, 2 beautiful women emerged from the smoke, ready to join Zhong Tianshun for a bath. Before he could refuse, the 2 beauties pressed close to him, whispering a stream of flirtatious words. Bai Qing, standing nearby, watched the scene and let out a sigh. If even this person cannot withstand my enchanting art, then there is no one in this world who can help me. With a splash, Zhong Tianshun stood up from the water. "Are you done playing?" Bai Qing stared blankly at the man standing before her, completely unclothed. "What is this dazzling and scorching light?" The next second, 2 streams of blood shot out from his nose. A moment later, Zhong Tianshun had already guessed her identity. "You must be some kind of artifact spirit, right?" And Bai Qing, seeing that she had been exposed, had no choice but to confess the truth. It turns out that she was originally an ancient spiritual treasure, the celestial fox pendant. After cultivating for 1,000 years, she finally transformed into human form. However, she fell into a deep slumber due to being affected by the aura of a demonic beast. She thought she would remain in eternal slumber, but she was awakened by the spiritual power within Zhong Tianshun's body. Then she explained that the enchanting art just now was merely a necessary test, all because your body contains a vast amount of spiritual power. "You are an immortal cultivator, aren't you?" After receiving confirmation from Zhong Tianshun, Bai Qing's expression turned grave. "As far as I know, there should be no immortal cultivators left in this world. Why were you able to survive and appear here after 1,000 years? I can no longer clearly remember the events of the past." After discovering Zhong Tianshun's amnesia, Bai Qing quickly comforted him, saying not to be too upset and that the lost memories would surely return. "You just used magic to tempt me, but actually you were testing the strength of my spiritual power, weren't you? As an artifact spirit, without the assistance of a cultivator master's spiritual power, it's impossible to break through to the next stage, right?" Hearing this, Bai Qing said despondently, "It's more than that. In this world filled with demonic energy, without the nourishment of spiritual power, I will perish before long." Bai Qing looked at Zhong Tianshun with a serious expression. "Can I follow you? I can sense the ancient divine artifact in this world filled with demonic energy." And Zhong Tianshun agreed without a second thought. Bai Qing, on the other hand, was caught off guard. "You agreed just like that? I actually need to absorb your spiritual power to cultivate. You didn't make any demands like offering your body in exchange." This was rejected by Zhong Tianshun because, given his cultivation level as a celestial sovereign, such a small amount of spiritual power meant nothing to him. The next day, the 2 of them were walking on the street. Suddenly, Bai Qing sensed the aura of an ancient divine artifact nearby. Then she told Zhong Tianshun that there was an ancient divine artifact among the crowd ahead. So the 2 of them held hands and squeezed through the noisy crowd. The 2 of them saw an ancient sword inserted on the platform in front of them. From the surrounding conversations, they learned that the trial of the 4 noble houses would take place in a few days. Only those who pass the trial are qualified to draw the sword from its place. And this sword is said to be the legendary hero's blade left behind from ancient times, dating back several thousand years. It has been embedded in the giant rock since its very first appearance. Only a true hero can pull this sword from the stone, yet over the centuries, no one has ever managed to draw it. At this moment, Bai Qing noticed Zhong Tianshun. He was staring blankly at the sword on the stage, so she asked him what was wrong. But then Zhong Tianshun said with a serious expression, "This sword, I feel like I've seen it somewhere before." It turns out that 5,000 years ago, this sword was once the treasure of Sword Forging Valley, capable of cutting through hair with a mere blow, incredibly sharp. If it were to meet a worthy master, it could even manifest the azure long sword spirit to protect its owner. Later, this sword was gifted to Zhong Tianshun by Sword Forging Valley. And he gave this sword a resounding name, Wandering Long. I never expected that after the immortal demon war, it would end up here. Then he stepped forward and was about to pull out the Wandering Long. However, he was blocked by the guard with a sword. This is the sacred sword of Pharaoh City. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to approach. Upon hearing this, Bai Qing explained, "Didn't you say only the true warrior can pull out this sword? He is. The two guards burst into laughter as if they had heard the biggest joke. Are you out of your minds? This sword isn't something just anyone can pull out. It turns out that those who wish to draw the sword must pass the trial of the brave, and to even participate in the trial, one must first obtain a recommendation from the 4 noble houses. May I ask, sir, which family of Pharaoh City do you belong to? If you are not a member of the 4 noble houses, you are not qualified to participate in the trial. If you are not from the 4 noble houses, what can you possibly do to me? Upon hearing this, the guard assumed a fighting stance. Then I have no choice but to escort you out. At that moment a shout of "Stop!" interrupted their movements. He is an honored guest of House Steve. How dare any of you show him disrespect? The 2 guards, upon recognizing the newcomer, hurriedly apologized in a fluster. At this moment Catherine shyly said, Zhong Tianshun, if you want to pull the holy sword, you must first pass the trial of the brave. I'm really sorry, but this is a rule that has been upheld for 1,000 years, and I cannot change it. Just as Zhong Tianshun was about to force his way through, Bai Qing told him, this trial is quite interesting. Anyway, no one can take your sword, so why don't we just follow the local customs this once? At this moment Catherine said, I can help you write the recommendation letter for the 4 noble houses. Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun's first reaction was, does it cost money? After learning it was free, he pointed at Bai Qing and said, write one for her too, we're together. It was then that Catherine realized Bai Qing was incredibly beautiful and cute, and they were even wearing similar outfits. Could they be that kind of couple? This is a world full of magic. And the man, just because he had a nap, then he became the last immortal cultivator in the world. Now, even to retrieve his own sword, he must participate in the trial of the brave. At this moment, a large number of trial participants have gathered inside Ghost Valley. The trial is presided over by an intermediate priest from the Order of the Holy Cross. Seeing that all trial participants had arrived, she began to announce the rules of the champion's trial. This trial requires all participants to venture deep into Ghost Valley and retrieve 3 demon cores that were placed in advance by the Order. The demon core is a priceless treasure of the demonic beasts, possessing immense value. We have placed these 3 demon cores on Tier 3 demonic beasts. Those who retrieve the demon core and return here by 12 p.m. tomorrow will pass the trial. Upon hearing this, everyone began to murmur. With only 3 demon cores available, it meant only 3 people could pass. That's way too strict. At that moment, Carl from House Onassis stepped forward and said, this level of difficulty is nothing, just a piece of cake. Upon hearing this, Meyer from House DuPont mocked him. Don't celebrate too soon. If you fail, it will bring shame to your family. The onlookers watched the 2 opponents in a heated confrontation and discussed among themselves, believing that House DuPont, as the largest family in Pharaoh City, would surely pass the trial and might even manage to draw the hero's sword. And Carl, upon hearing these words, became extremely furious. This bastard is indeed my biggest competitor, but obtaining the demon core is just the beginning. Only those who return here alive can truly be considered to have passed the trial. Watching Carl Zhong Tianshun walk past, he noticed a thick aura of killing intent emanating from him. It was then that he remembered. This was the person Catherine had warned him to be especially cautious of. At this moment, Carl was also sizing up Zhong Tianshun. Humph, how Steve's head must be fried. Sending an ordinary person with 0 telekinesis. They can be completely ignored. This time, I'm going to make a name for myself in Pharaoh City. At that very moment, Male shouted loudly, the trial begins. Everyone scrambled to rush into Ghost Valley. Shortly after entering, everyone noticed that there were actually branching paths inside Ghost Valley. The entrance on the left was overgrown with thorns, while the middle one emitted a heavy demonic energy, and the rightmost opening faintly let through a glimmer of light. So Carl decisively chose the 3rd opening. Meyer, standing nearby, had the same thought. Some people also believe that although the left path is overgrown with thorns, there are no demonic beasts there, making it the safest option. Meanwhile, outside Ghost Valley, Male asked Catherine in confusion, why would you recommend an ordinary person with 0 telekinesis to participate in the trial? Won't choosing him tarnish your family's reputation? But Catherine replied, I'm not doing this for the family. I just want to fulfill his wish. Besides, Zhong Tianshun is no ordinary person. I believe he will definitely pass the trial. The scene shifts to Bai Qing, who stands before a fork in the road, uncertain which path to choose. Yet, Zhong Tianshun began playing the immortal points the way game, where the direction the fallen branch pointed would determine which cave entrance to choose. There was a sudden snap sound. The branch fell pointing towards the cave entrance overflowing with demonic energy. Bai Qing felt utterly uneasy. This path looked a bit eerie. As soon as the two of them stepped inside, a flock of crows flew past. This frightened Bai Qing, who quickly grabbed Zhong Tianshun's arm and asked him, "Did you hear something? There's an evil aura here that's making my chest feel tight." And Zhong Tianshun, looking at the two soft things pressed tightly against his arm, couldn't help but think to himself, "That's probably because you're pressing your chest against me too tightly." At that moment, a woman's crying suddenly came from not far away. The two of them followed the direction of the sound and looked over. They saw a woman floating in midair with her feet off the ground, eerily drifting. This man, as the strongest celestial sovereign of his time, his greatest hobby is undressing Spooky. Every Spooky he touches ends up completely stripped. He doesn't even spare the maid who has been dead for 500 years. Just now, the two were blocked by a girl floating in midair. Bai Qing could tell at a glance that the girl in front was not human. But Zhong Tianshun didn't believe it. In his eyes, this was clearly a lost young girl. So he stepped forward and greeted her. But when the girl turned around, she was a terrifying-looking Spooky. Zhong Tianshun froze for a few seconds. He punched her and sent her to meet the king of hell. Bai Qing complained a bit. "Why do we have to take this path full of ghosts and monsters?" But Zhong Tianshun said nonchalantly, "Isn't Spooky quite nice? Come help me take her clothes off." Upon hearing this, Bai Qing was stunned. She looked up and down at Spooky on the ground. With a perfect hourglass figure, could it be that he wants to take advantage of the moment to do something? A moment later, hearing Zhong Tianshun say, "I'm done," Bai Qing was somewhat surprised. So fast. She turned her head only to find Zhong Tianshun holding onto the female ghost's clothes, saying, "This is silk fabric. Even though it's torn, if we gather a large amount, it could still fetch a good price." Before long, the two of them hid behind a large tree. The two of them noticed another Spooky appearing up ahead. He immediately went up to greet it, just as the Spooky thought it could have a full meal tonight. But then saw the black and white guardians impersonated by Zhong Tianshun. Spooky was so frightened that he immediately fell to his knees, trembling uncontrollably. Seeing this, Zhong Tianshun revealed a wicked smile. That night became the nightmare of Ghost Valley. Wherever the two went, every Spooky was wiped out without a trace. Meanwhile, inside the thorn-covered cave entrance on the left, a group of people was exploring. From their casual conversation, it was learned that in this valley, people often go missing, and by the time they are found, they have turned into zombies. As we were speaking, a hand suddenly emerged from the ground, followed by one zombie after another with blood-red eyes crawling out from beneath the earth. At this moment, they realized that these zombies were actually using the underground to avoid the thorns. But it was already too late. The leading zombie lunged forward directly. On the other side, Zhong Tianshun was humming a tune as if he were on a leisurely outing, while Bai Qing followed closely behind him. Although this person is quite stingy and tends to act recklessly, being with him gives a strong sense of security. Even in such a terrifying forest, I no longer feel afraid. At that very moment, they were blocked by a figure. The figure turned out to be a Tier 3 demonic beast, the Haunting Butler. How unusual. Someone actually managed to reach the depths of Ghost Valley. However, you two are so scrawny, it seems you won't be enough to fill my stomach. With a sharp snap, Zhong Tianshun put down his bundle. I can't say if it'll fill you up, but your clothes are definitely not safe. Upon hearing this, Haunting Butler froze in place. What do you mean by saying my clothes are not safe? Zhong Tianshun looked at me with an expression that said, "Idiot. It's the literal meaning. Don't you even understand that?" That sentence completely infuriated Haunting Butler. You, a mere human, dare to mock me? Seems you've grown tired of living. Immediately, a red arcane formation materialized behind her. Tear them apart, Scarlet Phantom. Countless bats surged out from the arcane formation. Seeing this, Zhong Tianshun's arms were enveloped in lightning. Just a few bats, you're really underestimating me. Ethereal blue foxfire suddenly swept past Zhong Tianshun. It charged straight into the swarm of bats, and upon contact, the bats were instantly incinerated into wisps of ash. TCH, so it's just a mage after all. Seeing this, she felt a bit smug. Who would have thought that even after sleeping for so many years, my skill in manipulating foxfire is still this strong? Zhong Tianshun, standing nearby, looked at her and said, "Oh, not bad. Didn't expect you to be so skilled. Then I'll leave this female ghost to you." Upon hearing this, Baiqing backed off, saying, "You handle it. I'll just help you clear out the bats." Upon witnessing this scene, the haunting butler was furious. "How dare these two ignore me? I am the strongest boss of Ghost Valley." In an instant, Zhong Tianshun leaped forward with a swift movement. He lunged toward the woman's chest with a swift grab. A maid who had been single for 500 years had never encountered such a situation before. She covered her chest and stepped back 5 meters. "What kind of perverted monster are you? Daring to lay a hand on my chest? I'm a ghost, you know." Zhong Tianshun said calmly, "Don't misunderstand, I'm not targeting your chest. It's just that your clothes look very valuable. So before I start hitting you, I'm going to strip off your clothes first. Let me show you what 5,000 years of singlehood speed looks like." Countless afterimages of arms reached out toward the maid. Even Baiqing, standing nearby, couldn't discern the speed of his movements. No one would have ever imagined that the strongest boss of Ghost Valley would come to such a day. In just a split second, the maid outfit was stripped off completely and perfectly intact. And along with it came a gleaming demon core. Seeing that the demon core had been obtained, Baiqing suggested that we head back the way we came. However, this suggestion was rejected by Zhong Tianshun. There are still many spirits in Ghost Valley, and we cannot let a single one escape. Meanwhile, on the other side of Ghost Valley, Meyer also went through great hardships and finally defeated a Tier 3 demonic beast. He looked at the glowing demon core in his hand and thought, a Tier 3 demonic beast isn't that impressive after all. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. "I never expected you to actually defeat a Tier 3 demonic beast." Meyer turned around and realized the person was none other than Carl. He immediately became wary and asked him, "Why are you following me? Are you trying to kill me and steal the treasure?" However, he saw that Carl was also holding a demon core in his hand and said, "Stealing treasure? There's no need for that." Meyer finally understood at that moment. He immediately assumed a fighting stance. If it's not about seizing the treasure, then they must be here to kill me. Upon seeing this, Carl didn't say a word, only revealing a sinister smile. The battle between the two was on the verge of breaking out. Meyer took the initiative, raising his longsword and slashing forward. And Carl was not to be outdone, drawing his dagger to block. Both sides engaged in a fierce battle. "To think you can fight me to a draw, Carl. You've gotten stronger. But our telekinesis is both at C rank. You can't kill me on your own." Hearing this, Carl revealed a confident smile. "What makes you think I'm alone?" With a swift whoosh, a hidden arrow shot through the air. The hidden arrow struck Meyer's neck directly. Feeling the toxin spread instantly, Meyer suddenly realized the danger. The archer, seeing him lose the ability to resist, finally emerged from the shadows. It was none other than John from House Walton. It turned out he had allied with Carl in order to obtain the demon core. "You two despicable scoundrels, do you know the consequences of offending House DuPont?" As soon as he finished speaking, Carl held a dagger to his neck. He revealed a sinister and terrifying smile. "Don't worry, no matter what happens in Ghost Valley, the outside world will never know." Then, with a single slash, he ended his life. Kai cautiously reminded Carl John, who was desecrating the corpse, that it was time to fulfill the agreement. Upon hearing this, Carl smiled faintly. "That's true, but I also said that no matter what happens in Ghost Valley, the outside world will never know." After saying this, before John could even react, he ended his life with a single slash. How could I possibly let someone who knows my weakness live? Deep within Ghost Valley at this moment, a Tier 4 demonic beast gargoyle is snoring loudly on the pillar. Zhong Tianshun and the other person also happened to wander here. Baiqing sensed that the gargoyle before them was extremely powerful and immediately suggested, "Before it wakes up, let's take a detour." However, Zhong Tianshun rejected the idea, saying, "In this world, credibility is everything. We promise to eliminate all the demonic beasts in the valley, so not a single one can be spared." At this moment, the gargoyle also spotted them. "Humans, you dare not flee at the sight of me? Is it because your telekinesis is too low to sense my terror?" And Zhong Tianshun was staring straight at the emerald on the gargoyle's forehead. He chuckled and said, "What nonsense are you talking? Who would run away at the sight of money?" Upon hearing this, Gargoyle looked completely baffled and asked, "What do you mean?" The next second, Zhong Tianshun leaped to his feet. He threw an uppercut at the gargoyle. He sent it flying hundreds of meters away. The gargoyle lying on the ground looked incredulous. What the hell? He sent me flying without even using telekinesis? That's absolutely ridiculous. Could it be that he knows his own talent isn't enough? So he took a different path, pushing his physical body to its absolute limit, which is why he was able to deliver such a heavy blow. At that moment, Zhong Tianshun caught up and took a punch from me without being knocked out. You're quite tough, huh? Upon hearing this, Gargoyle revealed a ferocious grin. You mere human, ignorant of your own limits. I've already seen through your true nature. Let me show you my absolute defense stone gargoyle form. In this form, my entire body is encased in incredibly hard granite. Even the most powerful punches would shatter the attacker's hand upon impact. Just as it was secretly gloating, a fist the size of a sandbag struck its face once again. The so-called absolute defense was completely shattered. And the gargoyle was sent flying over 10 meters away once more. At this moment, Bai Qing ran over with the spoils and asked if he was okay. Zhong Tianshun said it was nothing, just that the head was a bit hard and somewhat in the way. As soon as the words fell, the surrounding demonic energy suddenly surged. Bai Qing noticed that all the demonic energy was converging toward the gargoyle, and immediately warned Zhong Tianshun to be careful. Zhong Tianshun replied, Got it. When the fight starts later, make sure to keep an eye on the items in the bag. I'm counting on selling them for money. At this moment, Gargoyle had already completed his second stage transformation. He said arrogantly, You are indeed different from the rest. But thanks to you I got to stretch my muscles. I haven't been this excited in a long time. You can't bear the consequences of angering me. After saying this, he forcefully plunged his weapon into the ground. Centered on itself, countless demonic energies radiated outward in all directions. Soon enveloped Zhong Tianshun and the other person. Looking at the black spots growing on his body, Zhong Tianshun realized that this black mist was poisonous. And Gargoyle said with a smug expression, My demonic energy not only has the effects of intimidation and repulsion, but can also inflict a poisoned state on enemies during battle. You're finished. Meanwhile at Ghost Valley, all the trial takers were urgently summoned back. Male looked at the noisy crowd and breathed a sigh of relief. The situation isn't too serious yet. Most of the participants have been called back. Catherine, however, looked worried. Zhong Tianshun and Bai Qing haven't come out yet. She was originally a Yaoguai fox who had cultivated for 1,000 years. Yet now she had forcefully kissed a man. Just to help him detoxify. It turns out that just moments ago, Zhong Tianshun and the other finally encountered the final boss inside Ghost Valley. Tier 4. Demonic Beast. Gargoyle. After being taught a lesson by Zhong Tianshun with 2 solid punches, Gargoyle realized he was no match for the enemy in front of him. So he secretly released poison. Seeing this, Zhong Tianshun asked Bai Qing beside him if she was afraid, but the response he got was, As long as I'm with you, I'm not afraid. Hearing this, Zhong Tianshun looked pleased. He summoned a golden orb. The next second, the orb transformed into a golden shield, protecting Bai Qing. This is my protective golden orb. It can block attacks and isolate toxic gas erosion. Bai Qing looked worried upon hearing this. If you give the orb to me, what will you do? But Zhong Tianshun replied, Don't worry about me. If the materials in the package get corroded by the toxic gas, they won't be sellable anymore. Upon hearing this, Bai Qing was speechless. So you really care more about money than your life, huh? Then Zhong Tianshun smirked playfully. This toxin accumulates over time. As long as I take him down in one move and immediately cast the heart purification incantation to detoxify, it'll be fine. Then Zhong Tianshun swung his arm, drawing talismans in the air while chanting incantations under his breath. Seeing this, the gargoyle was dumbfounded. What on earth is this guy waving around like a madman? Could it be that the toxic fumes have driven him insane? Meanwhile, Bai Qing was utterly shocked, because the incantation Zhong Tianshun was chanting seemed to be the legendary treasure of the ancient mythical sky sect. The 5 Thunders righteous technique is said to grant its wielder the power to command thunder and lightning, purify filth and vanquish demons. I never expected Zhong Tianshun to possess such formidable arts. And Zhong Tianshun at this moment also recited the end of the incantation, 5 Thunders righteous technique, shattering thunder. A small sphere encircled by thunderous light coalesced above his sword-pointing finger. Gargoyle sneered at the sight, mocking, Such a tiny magic sphere. I could pop it with just a fingernail. Let me show you what real magic looks like. A massive magic sphere began to coalesce from the weapon arcane. Immediately after, the enormous sphere was hurled forward. Perish! Zhong Tianshun smiled faintly and calmly pointed forward. This is not magic, but celestial art. The lightning ball pierced through the great magic sphere with an unstoppable force. Then, without losing momentum, it charged straight toward the gargoyle. Staring at the lightning ball right before its eyes, the gargoyle exclaimed in disbelief, "Impossible! Absolutely impossible! Am I about to be defeated? My master instructed me never to let anyone disturb her. My mission is not yet complete." With a shattering sound, the lightning ball exploded directly, filling an area of several thousand miles with dazzling flashes of lightning. Bai Qing stared in disbelief at the scene. How could such a small lightning ball unleash such an astonishing force? At the same time, Mail, far outside the valley, felt the earth-shaking tremors. Her face couldn't help but change color. The force of this explosion far exceeded the range of a Tier 4 demonic beast, even surpassing that of a Tier 5 demonic beast. At this point, only by deploying an S-class or higher telekinetic can there be any hope of dealing with that demonic beast. After the explosion, it was clear that Zhong Tianshun had completely leveled the depths of Ghost Valley. And that Tier 4 demonic beast had been reduced to charcoal. Zhong Tianshun's heart ached at the sight. All of this was money. Fortunately, though, the demon core remained intact and uncovered. Bai Qing quickly asked him how he is feeling now. But then Zhong Tianshun said, "No big deal. For a minor poison like this, I just need to sit down and meditate for a while. I can expel the toxin in no time." And Bai Qing said somewhat awkwardly, "There's no need to go through all that trouble." Then, under Zhong Tianshun's puzzled gaze, she directly hugged him and kissed him. At this moment, Zhong Tianshun also realized that the deadly poison in his body was being drawn out by Bai Qing. So he stopped resisting and began to fully enjoy this wonderful moment. After a moment, Bai Qing let out a contented moan and finally said, "It's done." Zhong Tianshun looked at the other helplessly and said, "I can detoxify myself. If you absorb the poison from my body, I won't be able to save you." Bai Qing wiped his lips and replied, "I am your artifact spirit, so it's only natural that I share your suffering. Besides, with the nourishment of your spiritual power, I will recover quickly." "All right, as long as you're okay." Then Bai Qing asked if he had heard of the mythical sky sect. Zhong Tianshun thought for a moment and said he hadn't. "Why do you ask?" "Nothing, let's head back. The trial is about to end." The scene shifts to outside Ghost Valley. Everyone stood on high alert, waiting for the terrifying demonic beast to appear. At that moment, two figures slowly emerged from the smoke. Mail immediately tensed up and ordered everyone to prepare for battle. After the smoke cleared, Zhong Tianshun stared blankly at the scene before him, utterly confused. "What's going on? Are you all here to welcome me? It seems we didn't exceed the time limit. The hero's trial should be passed smoothly." Everyone who witnessed this scene was instantly struck as if by lightning. At this moment, Mail was completely bewildered. Judging by the aura of the corpse, it was indeed a Tier 4 demonic beast. But I distinctly sensed an even more terrifying presence than that of a Tier 4. Could it be that person is him? Has he been hiding his telekinesis all along? Is he actually a super powerhouse? Seeing the two return safely, Catherine, who was nearby, also breathed a sigh of relief. But Carl was extremely jealous. That was a demonic beast that even I feared immensely. Why did it die at the hands of an insignificant ant? Something must have happened inside Ghost Valley that caused the death of that demonic beast. That insignificant ant must have just gotten lucky and taken advantage of the situation. How infuriating! With a loud thud, the demonic beast's corpse was slammed onto the ground. "Is there anyone from the Demon Hunter Association who can come and check how much this thing is worth?" Bai Qing also patted the huge package and said, "And all the materials from the demonic beasts in Ghost Valley are here too." Mail looked at the two of them in disbelief. "We've already defeated a Tier 4 demonic beast, yet they still have the mind to loot materials from the minions." Not long after Zhong Tianshun and Bai Qing left, another uninvited guest appeared deep within Ghost Valley. "He actually killed my mount. Could it be that I have to walk back?" At the same time, she was furious. Are the newcomers in Pharaoh City this powerful now? Suddenly, it seemed she had noticed something. With a single hand gesture, the scattered stones on the ground were drawn before her. Sensing the familiar aura emanating from the stones, her expression suddenly changed drastically. Spiritual power. This is the trace of an immortal cultivator's battle. At the same time, Zhong Tianshun and Baiqing also successfully returned to Pharaoh City and sold all the materials. Afterward, everyone returned to the Holy Sword Square together. At this moment, Mail announced that there were only 2 people who had obtained the demon core and passed the trial. They are young Master Carl from House Onassis and Zhong Tianshun, recommended by House Steve. He then asked the 2, "For the upcoming sword ceremony, which of you will go first?" Just then, Carl stepped forward angrily and said, "I'll go first." At the same time, he said with immense confidence, "If there's anyone who has the best chance of pulling out the holy sword, it must be me." Then he grasped the hilt with both hands and exclaimed, "Come forth, my holy sword." Yet no matter how hard he tried, the holy sword remained completely motionless. In the end, he had no choice but to give up. This thing simply couldn't be pulled out. The sword of the hero was nothing but a legend after all. The 2 women, seeing that the onlookers were not optimistic about Zhong Tianshun, both spoke up in his defense. But then they heard Zhong Tianshun say, "Don't mind them. I'm just going to retrieve what's mine." Hearing this, Carl, who was standing nearby, became even more displeased. "As if the holy sword is already in your pocket," he retorted. At this moment, Zhong Tianshun stood on the high platform, gazing at the gleaming holy sword before him. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind, "You have finally come. I have lost count of the years I've waited for you. Do you still remember our glorious days? I, with you alone and a single sword, fought wildly in the blood-red demon den for 3 days and 3 nights. And at the once-in-a-decade flying sword competition in the immortal cultivation realm, I helped you win the championship with an inertia drift. And together we fought our way through the under heaven sects 7 times, only to end up meditating by the waterfall at the back of their mountain. You in deep focus, me just showing off. I truly am a rare and invaluable partner on your way of the immortals." Hearing this, Zhong Tianshun suddenly had a bad feeling. Was this sword a bit too excited? "No matter what, I'm taking you home." With a sharp crack, the holy sword erupted in a dazzling light. The next instant, it had already been pulled out. "Welcome back, Wandering Long." The crowd below was instantly struck as if by lightning. That was the hero's sword, which no one had been able to pull out for thousands of years, and yet that kid actually managed to draw it. Who on earth is he? At that moment, accompanied by a dragon's roar, an azure dragon phantom materialized in the air. "Finally out of that damned rock. How does it feel to see my majestic form again, Tianshun?" Seeing Zhong Tianshun remain silent, it became even more narcissistic. "Why aren't you saying anything? Could it be that you're stunned by my peerless beauty?" Hearing this, Zhong Tianshun couldn't hold back any longer. "I don't remember any of those things you mentioned. Were you always this narcissistic before? And don't call me by that name." Witnessing this scene, everyone's worldview shattered, shortening our lifespans. The holy sword has turned into a bizarre creature. Wandering Longsword let out a long sigh. "So you've already forgotten after all? It's a miracle you survived such a great battle. But even with amnesia, you still managed to find me. It shows that even 1,000 years cannot dim my radiance. That's how you were drawn to me, isn't it?" Zhong Tianshun couldn't hold it in any longer. "Change back right now." Catherine, who was standing nearby, quickly ran over. Although she didn't understand why the holy sword had turned into that form, she wanted to be the first to congratulate him. Then she said shyly, "Congratulations, Zhong Tianshun. I always believed you could do it. Now you are truly the worthy hero of Pharaoh City." Zhong Tianshun glanced back at her. "Oh, it's Catherine. I still need to thank you for writing that recommendation letter for me." Hearing this, Catherine shyly replied, "It was the least I could do." Meanwhile, she was secretly thrilled, thinking, "I'm so happy. I actually got thanked by Zhong Tianshun." Just then, a figure flashed by in an instant. The next second, Baiqing excitedly gave Zhong Tianshun a boob face. Catherine, seeing them in such an intimate pose, was completely heartbroken. At that moment, Baiqing hugged Zhong Tianshun, twisting excitedly back and forth, and said, "I knew I hadn't chosen the wrong person. You're just too amazing." Completely unaware that Zhong Tianshun was about to be smothered by her boob face. The pink-haired failure, Catherine, was filled with regret at that moment, thinking, if only I had been a bit more proactive, then Zhong Tianshun would be holding me instead. She was originally a Yaoguai fox who had cultivated for 1,000 years. She actually forced a man to do a boob face in public. Simply because the man was her master. He actually drew the legendary sword of the hero. Meanwhile, the pink-haired loser Catherine was filled with regret for not being proactive enough. At that moment, Male broke the awkward atmosphere and said, Zhong Tianshun, may I take a closer look at the holy sword in your hand? Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun said cautiously, you can look but please don't damage it. This sword is a bit heavy so make sure you hold it steady, he said as he handed the sword over. As soon as the wandering long sword was in hand, Male was astonished to find the sword unbelievably heavy. The wandering long sword slipped from his grasp and crashed to the ground, creating a huge crater. Seeing this, Male couldn't help but sigh. It seems this sword has acknowledged you as its master. Even though it's been drawn, no one else can wield it. And Bai Qing knew perfectly well. This sword was a first-class spiritual treasure from ancient times, which could only be wielded by channeling the spiritual power of an immortal cultivator. Not only that sword, but many artifacts left behind after the immortal demon war are still scattered across the world, lying dormant. And it seems only Zhong Tianshun can activate them. And our Zhong Tianshun was examining the wandering long sword, saying to Male, the blade is a bit dirty. How about you compensate me with some cleaning fees to settle this? Upon hearing this, Male looked utterly incredulous. Didn't you give it to me dirty in the first place? You're planning to blackmail me with this excuse, aren't you? While the two were arguing, a middle-aged man walked over. I heard that the warrior recommended by our Catherine has drawn the holy sword. At first glance, he truly looks impressive. A banquet has already been prepared at home. I wonder if this warrior would honor us by joining for a meal? Seeing Zhong Tianshun about to decline the meal, Male quickly informed him that this was the head of House Steve and also Catherine's father. By drawing the holy sword, you have already brought immense honor to his family. His personal invitation is naturally a gesture of gratitude, so you must not be rude. Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun's eyes lit up. It seems like this meal could lead to quite a bit of money. Then he noticed Catherine, who had been shrinking in the corner from the start, filled with regret. He walked straight up to her, getting right in her face and said, what are you doing? Your dad told me to take you home for dinner. And Catherine, feeling Zhong Tianshun so close, couldn't help but feel her heart racing uncontrollably, all while worrying about what to do if he heard such a loud heartbeat. Wait, what did you just say? You're coming to my house for dinner? Really? And Zhong Tianshun replied, of course it's true. You're acting really strange today. The clan leader watching from the side didn't quite understand what was happening but was impressed. As expected of the hero who can pull out the sacred sword, your way of doing things is truly unique. The scene shifts as the group returns to Steve Manor. Zhong Tianshun grinned slyly, wrapping an arm around the clan leader and said, buddy, I just pulled the sacred sword on behalf of your family. You should show some appreciation, right? The clan leader immediately understood and instructed the butler to prepare more spirit coins. Bai Qing, who was standing behind them, was speechless at the sight. He actually asked for money directly, without the slightest hint of subtlety. At the banquet, the clan leader noticed that Zhong Tianshun hadn't taken a single bite, and assumed that the lavish spread of fish and meat didn't suit his taste. However, Zhong Tianshun said, don't worry about me. As long as I have money in my pocket, I don't need to eat or drink. I don't know why. Upon hearing this, Bai Qing was inwardly astonished, thinking, this must be the fasting ability that only cultivators at an extremely high stage can achieve. So he had already reached such a stage. It was just that he had lost his memory and was unaware of this reason. A few minutes later, Wandering Long let out a contented burp and said, I'm full. Zhong Tianshun glared at him angrily. When did you come out? Wandering Long replied, I came out when I smelled the aroma. After all, I haven't eaten in 5,000 years. At this moment, Catherine reminded him, you haven't sold the demon core brought out from Ghost Valley, have you? Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun took out 2 demon cores and said, not yet. What exactly is the use of this demon core? Demon cores are precious materials found only in high-level demonic beasts. Their primary use is to enhance equipment. Adding a demon core during equipment reforging significantly enhances its quality. Due to the inclusion of the demon core, these pieces of equipment also achieve better effectiveness when combating demonic beasts. The Demon Hunter Association has been actively purchasing demon cores. A Tier 4 demon core like the one you possess could buy a decent house in Pharaoh City. Hearing this, Zhong Tianshun was thrilled. Just this small stone can trade for a house? Then I'm about to get rich. Wandering Long swallowed 2 demon cores in one gulp and let out a burp. Although the texture is a bit hard, the taste is not bad. Lovely Shun, do you have any more demon cores? I still want to eat. At this moment, Zhong Tianshun's aura drastically changed, radiating boundless resentment all around him. Unfilial Long, what you just devoured was my house. Zhong Tianshun was extremely furious and wanted to pull it out of his mouth. That was a demon core worth an entire house. The clan leader nearby quickly stepped forward to mediate the situation and promised to compensate with a house. Only then did Zhong Tianshun let the matter rest. At that moment, Wandering Long suddenly felt a powerful force surging within his body. It seemed to be because of the demon core, making it even more powerful. Zhong Tianshun thought it was just making excuses. But then Baiqing said that it was indeed possible. After all, its true form is a weapon, and the demon core could also enhance its power. The butler suddenly appeared and interrupted everyone's conversation. Master Mississippi, the other 3 great families and the Order of the Holy Cross have sent congratulatory gifts for our hero. Shall we bring them in for the hero to see? Zhong Tianshun, upon hearing about the congratulatory gifts, his eyes instantly lit up. Hurry up and bring it in for me to see. I saw House Walton present 30,000 spirit coins and a deed to a luxury villa in Pharaoh City. Zhong Tianshun looked at these gleaming spirit coins, extremely excited, and said, I'll gladly accept these 30,000 spirit coins. However, I already own a house, so this deed is of no use to me. Let them convert it into cash. And House DuPont presented a suit of paladin armor, entirely crafted from gold, indestructible. Even the most ferocious demonic beast cannot breach its defense. However, Zhong Tianshun found it too cumbersome and requested to cash it out instead. Then House Onassis presented 3 exquisite maids. As the words fell, 3 fair-skinned and beautiful young ladies in black stockings walked in. Your heroic act of drawing the sacred sword has deeply impressed us, brave one. May we have the honor of staying by your side to serve you at all times? We are ready to do anything you command, brave one. With us by your side, we will ensure your utmost comfort. Beside them, Catherine blushed deeply, silently cursing House Onassis for sending such a shameless gift. It was truly indecent. And Zhong Tianshun, surrounded by the girls, was extremely excited. All 3 girls were stunningly beautiful and utterly irresistible. Will you fulfill whatever I say? The blue-haired girl shyly said, Yes, even if you make that kind of request, it's okay. Upon hearing this, Zhong Tianshun whispered to the butler, Old man, did you hear that? Let's cash out these girls as well. The 3 girls froze in place upon hearing this. Am I being rejected? This is the first time I've ever been returned after all these years in the industry, one of them thought. The pink-haired girl beside her spoke the truth. I feel like he just wants to exchange us for more money. The door slowly opened, and in walked Male, who had come to deliver congratulatory gifts on behalf of the Order of the Holy Cross. She presented a knight's medal. This medal is a symbol of power and status, representing supreme honor that cannot be measured by money. Upon hearing that it couldn't be sold for money, Zhong Tianshun immediately lost interest. It wasn't until Male told him that this medal could mobilize adventurers below Order D that he reluctantly accepted it. Then Male hesitantly mentioned that he had come today not just to deliver the medal, but also to ask a favor, something that might be a bit rude, but he had to do it. May I touch you? Upon hearing this, both girls were stunned. This Male really is bold. Seeing that everyone had misunderstood, Male quickly explained, Don't get me wrong, I'm just a bit curious about your power. The magic I practice allows me to sense various types of power. You didn't use even a hint of telekinesis to pull out the holy sword, which completely defies logic. That's why I want to personally experience the immense energy within you. After obtaining Zhong Tianshun's consent, Male placed his hand on Zhong Tianshun's pectoral muscles and began to feel around. And after being touched for a while, Zhong Tianshun said somewhat impatiently, Are you done? If you keep touching, I'm going to charge you. Male quickly asked to wait a bit longer. There isn't a trace of telekinesis on him. I need to get closer to sense his true power. Thinking of this, Male pressed her ample chest against him. The next second she let out a moan. Then she panicked, took a few steps back and sat down on the ground. Seeing this, everyone asked her what was wrong. Male exclaimed in shock. I sense an immense power, similar to that on the holy sword. It's a formidable force beyond telekinesis. She was originally a